Hey YouTube, this is Rescue Amusement Park Fan 62. Here are some general amusement park tips. Now, for a lot of parks, they're going to be opening within the next couple of months. It is early, almost early to mid-February at this point, and um, so some parks are opening up in March and then in April. So, here are some tips you can do to make your experience at these parks a lot better. Now, first, um, plan your trip in advance. So if you're going to hit up multiple parks, in multiple days, so you're going to hit up, let's say, Six Flags St. Louis, Silver Dollar City, Worlds of Fun, um, uh, Frontier City, and all of them. Make sure you either have a season pass for those parks or a one-day ticket. Now, for parks like Frontier City, Six Flags St. Louis, and all of them, um, those do take those will also take the memberships. So if you have a Six Flags membership, they will work at those. Now, as far as like food plans are concerned, I'm not entirely sure if they still will, um, still use those food plans that you have. So the best thing to do is call those parks in advance and just simply ask. Now, the next thing is this: if you don't have a season pass to any park, let's say, the best thing to do is get a one-day ticket. Or if you're planning to be there multiple days, see if those parks have like a 2-day plan or pass or 3-day pass or whatever. Um, and so that way you can be covered instead of keep buying a one-day ticket, which could simply add up to the price of a 2-day or more. Now, some of these parks will also offer like a food plan in a you can add on to that ticket as well. I know Busch Gardens does that with theirs, so that's something to consider as well. I'm not entirely sure if they do that for the two day or 3-day plans. So that is something to look into. Now, as far as like a drink plan is concerned for something like that, that is something to look into as well. If not, the best thing to do is at the park or online. Buy one of the souvenir bottles. They're going to be around $13 to $15, but depending on the mug, you will get free refills that first day typically, and then usually 99 cents or free refills. Now, if you are a Six Flags member, you will get a bottle, um, and you will get free refills with those bottles. Now, another thing a lot of these parks are wanting you to do as well is prepay for parking. Now, the best thing to do with that is simply look up what the parking rate is and kind of either prepay in advance for that, or a lot of these parks now are just doing card only. So, um, so I think they take credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, and that's really about it. Now, some parks will still do cash, so please be aware. So the best thing to do is when you get up to the parking. Now, especially if you are a member to Six Flags, Cedar Fair, whatever, parking will typically be with a lot of those passes. So the best thing to do is see, and if it is, all they have to do is scan it. Now, when you get to the front gate, see what their security process is, because every park is different with security. Some parks will make you open your bag up so they can look inside to make sure you don't have any like weapons or drugs um, or even stuff you're not really supposed to bring in, like soda bottles or Gatorade bottles or chips or anything like that. unless you've gotten permission from those parks in advance, because you have a specially needs person who can't really eat certain foods. So that's the best thing to do. Now, once everybody is through security, depending on how security at these parks are, now if somebody in your group needs to do a season pass for, let's say, Six Flags or Cedar Fair, there some depending on the park, some parks have their own season pass centers that they can do that at. Some parks can do that at the ticket offices. So I know with a lot of Cedar Fair parks, they can do those at the ticket offices because I have a platinum pass to Cedar Fair. They did it at the Carowinds ticket office. So all you have to do basically is go up, print out, after you pre-bought it, show them the paper. They will take your picture. Your pass gets printed out. Also, if you want to add on the drink plan and the food plan and the picture plan, they can do that at those offices as well. Now, I'm not entirely sure, especially with the food and drink plan, if those will be activated that day. So that is something to look into. Now, once you get in the park, figure out what you want to do, and have a meeting place for everything. So, for example, if you guys want to do like a mid to late lunch, figure out where you want to go and what stand to do it at. A lot of these parks will have sit-down style restaurants. Some of them can be a fast casual where you just basically go up, pick what you want, and depending on how some of the parks are, get your drinks and then pay. And then some parks will be pay and then get your drinks. So a lot of these parks are going to be different as far as that is concerned. Now, if you have a season pass, you get so much off. Now, the other thing is a lot of these parks do offer 1-day food plans as well. Now, Cedar Fair has basically 3. They have just like a 1-meal thing, which is basically has your main entree, a side, and a drink. That is roughly around $15 or so. So that is basically the cost of 1 meal. So you will get that meal for free through that one plan. The next plan is an all-day, all you can eat. Now with that, that is around like $32 to $36. I think it's like $36.99 if I'm not mistaken. And that with that you get a entree and a side. With that you eat every, I think it's 90 minutes or so. And now it works at most stands in the park with only certain things. Drinks are not included with that. They have another one that's $42 or $45.99 where you can get a entree, a side, and a drink. That's all you can eat as well. So depending on how much you want to eat, those are the options you can do. Now, please note this: those do not cover snacks as well. So snacks are going to be extra. So stuff like Dippin' Dots, pretzels, funnel cakes, etc. Those are not included. Now, I know with Six Flags, with their plans, that it is. So, now, the next thing is figure out what rides you want to do. first of all, try to get the park as early as you can. Now, one of the big reasons to do that is, especially if it's a well-known park, such as something like Silver Dollar City, um, Kings Island, Cedar Point, Hershey Park, Six Flags Great Adventure, Six Flags Magic Mountain, the two Texas parks. Now, the reason why I say get there early is because, especially on Saturdays, especially once you get around spring break time to the summertime, um, they can get very crowded. So tonight, so the best thing to do is get there early and do all that, because when I went to Carowinds, I still went early, but I had to wait a good 15, 20 minutes just to get my season pass. Now, so for example, at Kings Island, rides like Banshee, The Beast, Orion, um, Adventure Express, all those can get very, very busy. So the best thing to do is ride those extremely early so you can ride lesser known attractions after that. Now, if you have the extra money, I do suggest, especially if it's going to be a busy day, to buy the Fast Pass, depending on the type of Fast Pass as well. The best thing to do also is there is a website. I will look and see what it's called and put it down below, where you can track how busy it's going to be that day based off that day in past years. And it's called like Crowd Calendar or something like that. So it basically on there would be from green, which means light crowds, to red, which means heavy crowds. So take that as an idea. You can also at the park, if you're not sure, you can look that up on any phone or tablet as well, because most parks do offer free Wi-Fi. Now, the last thing is this: for when the park closes, no matter if it's 7 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night, make sure you know what ride you want to ride last. So, especially if it's a ride that's known for being a good night ride or a good last ride of the night, especially on weekends, try to get in line as early as you can, because with most parks, they will block those lines off at or near closing time, or if it has such a long line, they will block it off way in advance. So, if, for example, a ride, if the park closes at 7 and it's 5 o'clock, or 5:30, let's say, and they know it's going to take a while, they will block that off then. The next thing is, for some parks as well, they do have water parks in the park somewhere. It will typically around in the middle. So if you want to do one day just dedicated to the water park, that is good as well. But remember to get there early, because especially with a lot of the good seats, those fill up very fast. I say especially on weekends, the good seats can fill up within about 20 minutes or so. So that's one thing you need to pay attention to. Now, the last thing is this: make sure everybody knows where to meet up at the end of the night. So if you have a certain ride you want to meet them at, or a certain restaurant, or whatever. Now, the last thing is this: some parks have more of these than others. Um, Make sure everybody in your group, especially if you have like teenagers in them, to bring their phone charging cords. Um, that way, if places have like Starbucks or something in that range, they can just charge their phone while they're getting a drink or whatever, which will be good. So, also the last thing as well is check the weather. I cannot stress check the weather enough because depending on where you're going, the weather can change on a dime. So keep an eye on the weather. Some of the good apps to have for that is something like the Weather Channel, um, something like AccuWeather, or something in that range. Or if you have an Apple phone, all of them come standard with the Weather Channel. So if you're going to a city, let's say Orlando or Tampa or Atlanta or something in that range, all you have to do is type in those cities and add them, and so you can just scroll through. Also, if you're looking for activities outside the parks, the best thing to do there is look up, go onto Google, type in something like activities outside of whatever the park is. Now, parks like Universal Studios or Disney or something in that range, there's going to be slightly more things to do. I know with Universal, they have like an entire, it's like a boardwalk style thing without the rides. It's just mostly shopping and food. So there's that. Now, Disney does have their own version called Disney Springs. And that is popular as well. Now, there are some places as well that is that style, but also has rides. One of the big ones is Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That does have a lot of shopping and dining and stuff like that, but then also has some rides as well from the defunct Pavilion Amusement Park in downtown Myrtle Beach. Now, also another thing is make sure if somebody has to take pills or something like that, make sure you either are with them or something like that to make sure they take their medicine on time. Because I know with some medicine like that, you have to be very strict on the time frame they can take that. Also, if there's any side effects with those pills, saying something like they cannot be in the heat for an hour or something like that, make sure they stay in somewhere air conditioning. So, meaning a restaurant, or I wouldn't say a bathroom, but more something like a restaurant or something will work. Now, if you have small kids that do not care about rides or something like that, make sure you have them to do something. So something like an iPad or an iPhone or something like that, where you can either where they can play games or watch a movie that they like or something in that range, will be good for them as well. Now with that as well, especially if they're on it for hours upon hours during the day, the battery is going to go dead. So the best thing to do is bring a portable charger with you. Now you can find those at places like Best Buy and Walmart and stuff like that. They're usually around $20 to $40 or so, depending on the type. Now the last thing is just have fun, do what you want, because this is probably the only time that you're going to be able to do it. Unless you do something around Halloween or Christmas similar. Last thing is for any parks that have a specialty event, uh, see if that is included into park admission. Because some parks events like that are separate. So I know stuff like Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, Mickey's Merry Christmas Celebration, or whatever that's called. Um, Stuff like that is a separate ticket event. So see on that. If you want to do those, get the ticket, but you have to work that into your budget. If you have any questions about what I said in this 20-minute video, put in the comments below and I will try to answer the best to my ability.